Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki.
Jai.
Prem Skaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasili Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki.
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki.
Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Dham ki.
Jai.
Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki.
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham ki.
Jai.
Gangamai Yamuna Mai ki.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki.
Jai.
Transcendental Book Distribution ki.
Jai.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki.
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Swami Namane. Namaste Krishna Padaya, Prabhupada, Shritatmane, Shri Guru. Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivesha Shrimati Paschati Deshatari. Good morning, everyone. We are continuing our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 11th chapter, Krishna entering Dwarka. And we are on text number 24. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. The text for today, text number 24. Raja Marjam Gate Krishne Dwarkaya Kulastriya Harmanyan Aruruhur Vipra Tad Ikshana Mahotsavaha. Raja Marjam Gate Krishne Dwarkaya Kulastriya Harmanyan Aruruhur Vipra Tad Ikshana Mahotsavaha. Rajamarjam Kate Krishne Dwarkaya Kulastriya Harmanya Aruhur Vipra Tad Ikshana Mahotsavaha. Please chant.
Hare Krishna. Rajamargam Gate Krishne Dwarakaya Kula Istriyah Haramyani Aruhur Vipra Tadaikshana Mahotsavaha.
Rajamargam Gate Krishne Dvarakaya Kulastriya Haramanya Ruruhur Vipra Tad Ikshana Mahotsava.
Hare Krishna. Rajmarg Gati Krishne Dwarkaya Kulastriha Hamyarnya Ruruha Vipra Tadikshna Mahot Swaha.
Hare Krishna. राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाया कुलाश्रया हर्याणि अरुरुहुर्विप्रा इति क्षणा महोत्सवा
राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाया कुलस्त्रिया हर्मण्ये अरुरुहुर्विप्रा तदेक्षण महोत्सवा हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाः कुलस्त्रियः हर्मण्या अरुरुहुर्विप्रा तत्कृष्णा तत्क्षाना महोत्सवः
हरे कृष्ण राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाया कुलस्त्रियः हारमण्या अरुरुहुर्विप्रा तदीक्षण महोत्सवाः हरे कृष्ण
राजमार्गं गते कृष्णे द्वारकाया कुलस्त्रिया हार्मण्यानरुहुर्विप्रा तदीक्षणा महोत्सवा
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the synonyms. Rajamargam, the public roads. Gate, while passing over. Krishne, by Lord Krishna. Dwarkayaha, of the city of Dwarka. Kulastriyaha, ladies of the respectable families. Harmyani, won the palaces. Aruruhu, got up. Vipra, O Brahmanas. Tat Ikshana, just to look upon him, Krishna. Maha Utsavaha, accepted as the greatest festival. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dwarka went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. Purport. To have a look at the Lord is a great festive occasion, undoubtedly, as it was considered by the metropolitan ladies of Dwarka. This is still followed by the devout ladies of India, especially during the days of the Julan and Janmashtami ceremonies. The ladies of India still throng up in great numbers at the temple of the Lord, where his transcendental eternal form is worshipped. The transcendental form of the Lord installed in the temple is not different from the Lord personally. Such a form of the Lord is called Archa Vigraha, or Archa incarnation, and is expanded by the Lord by his internal potency, just to facilitate the devotional service of his innumerable devotees who are in the material world. The material senses cannot perceive the spiritual nature of the Lord, and therefore the Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, which is apparently made of material elements like earth, wood, and stone, but actually there is no material contamination. The Lord being Kaivalya, one alone, there is no matter in him. He is without a second, and therefore the Almighty Lord can appear in any form without being contaminated by the material conception. Therefore, festivities in the temple of the Lord, as held generally, are like festivities performed during the manifestive days of the Lord of Dwarka, about 5,000 years ago. The authorized acharyas, who know the science perfectly, install such temples of the Lord under regulative principles just to offer facilities to the common man. But persons who are less intelligent, without being conversant with the science, mistake this great attempt to be idol worship and poke their nose into that which they have no access. Therefore, the ladies and men who observe festivals in the temple of the Lord, just to have a look at the transcendental form, are 1,000 times more glorious than those who are non-believers in the transcendental form of the Lord. It appears from this verse that the inhabitants of Dwarka were all owners of big palaces. This indicates the prosperity of the city. The ladies got up on the roofs just to have a look at the procession of the Lord. The ladies did not mix with the crowd on the street, and thus their respectability was perfectly observed. There was no artificial equality with the men. Female respectability is preserved more elegantly by keeping the women separate from the men. The sexes should not mix unrestrictedly. Om Agyanat Brandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshur Umaletam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripasindhuviyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation once again. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all of the ladies from the respectable families of Dwarka went to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. Another vivid description that we can meditate upon and feel like we're actually having some experience and actually seeing this take place. All these verses, the verses that preceded this and the ones that come that will come after, are giving us a nice insight into what this ceremony is looking like. And here the ladies of, as Krishna has now entered into Dwarka, the ladies, you can imagine, the ladies are running into their houses, up into the roof, just to have a look at the Lord, looking down on him. And this looking we call darshan. Darshan, to be able to see the Lord. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions, we have this ability today. This isn't just something, although this took place over 5,000 years ago, same activity we can participate in today when we go to the temple. When we arrive at the temple and go, first we go and walk in and we greet the Lord. We see the Lord. First we offer obeisances to the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And then we go and we offer obeisances to the Lord. And when we see the Lord, offer prayers to the Lord. Prayers to Gaur Nitai, prayers to Lord Chaitanya, prayers to Lord Jagannath, prayers to Shishi Radha Sharad Bihari. And we have darshan. We can look and see, the beautiful form of the Lord. And the pujaris who serve the Lord, they get up very early in the morning to worship the Lord. And then every day the Lord gets bathed and then gets dressed into a different outfit. Very expensive and elegant outfits are offered to the Lord. We have ladies and men who make, primarily ladies, but there are a few men, every day that spend probably 4+ hours making flower garlands every day, so that the Lord has fresh flower garlands to be offered. And when we come and see the Lord offering prayers and take darshan, we can notice this and really appreciate how beautiful and fortunate, how beautiful it is, and how fortunate we are to be able to have this darshan. This Archa Vigraha, or the deity form of the Lord, is our way of being able to render devotional service directly to the Lord. These ladies of Dwarka, Krishna had descended, in his personal, in his personal form to perform his pastimes, and they were able to witness this. But as Srila Prabhupada so nicely points out here, is that the Archa Vigraha, or the deity form of the Lord, is non-different than the Lord himself. And this is an extension of Krishna's mercy, so that we are able to render devotional service to Krishna, purify our existence, and reawaken our love for Godhead. So therefore, the Lord, he, under the guidance of the pure devotee, and the installation according to the Shastras of the deity, the Lord enters into wood, stone, metal. There's actually 8 different forms that the Lord, painting, jewels. So the Lord enters into this form, and then is personally worshipped and understood that the Lord is present there in the deity form of the Lord. And when the Lord is worshipped, the Lord then reciprocates such worship to his devotee. Some may see this as just idol worship, as mentioned here in the purport. You need to worship something, or you need to show respect to something. But they don't really believe that the Lord is present, that Krishna is all spiritual. There's no material side to Krishna, meaning that there's no contaminated side to Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy, even the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are all part of Krishna's energies. But Krishna is never under the control of the material energy. Krishna is the creator and always in control of the material energy. So there's no side to Krishna that is material. It's not, okay, Krishna is limited because he is now in the deity form. He can't go outside of his deity form. Actually, it shows Krishna's unlimitedness, omnipotence, that he can actually enter into stone, wood, metal, paintings, etc., and actually be personally present there and receive the offerings. So there, of course, we have some pastimes that are mentioned in the scriptures that talk about how the deity form is not limited in that way, and actually reciprocates and interacts with the devotees. Anybody want to And does anybody want to speak about or mention real briefly some of them that you may know? There's a couple mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have the one with Shakshi Gopal, the deity form of Gopal, who had witnessed, I won't tell the story too much in full, but the form of Gopal witnessed a deal between two people, a Brahmin and his and a boy. He promised to give his wife to him, and then due to the pressure of the family, he tried to get out of that, and but it was witnessed by Gopal, and Gopal actually came to that place, and the deity form came and witnessed what was actually said. Then we have the pastime of Madhavendra Puri with Kir Chur Gopinath, where the deity understood the mind of the great devotee Madhavendra Puri, who wanted to understand how to make sweet rice for his deity. And so he stole some sweet rice, or put some sweet rice aside for Madhavendra Puri. So we see that the Lord's form, the deity form, is not limited in that way, which many people may conceive if they're ill-informed. Many pujaris, they have different thoughts and dreams where the deity form interacts with them and tells them things if something is not going right. I remember Mother Sudamani. She once told that she was having a dream that Radharani was telling her that she was cold at night. She was cold, and a couple of days later, they found this was during the late fall, early winter, that there was a pane in the window that was broken. And that was right next to the pujari room, and this is how it was told to her. So anyway, there are many ways that we can the Lord can interact with the devotee, and the deity form is there to help develop our devotional service to the Lord. Some question, is deity worship really necessary? In this age of Kali Yuga, the process for reawakening one's love of God is Sankirtan, Shravanam Kirtanam. Srila Prabhupada writes about this in the purport to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 19 Madhyalila 19:152. He says that sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravanam Kirtanam process without worshiping the deity. But the execution of such Shravanam Kirtanam is meant for highly developed devotees like Haridas Thakur, who engage in Shravanam Kirtanam process without worshiping the deity. However, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur and abandon deity worship just to engage in Shravanam Kirtanam. This is not possible for neophyte devotees. So this is important to note, because with the deity, we are able to develop our love for Krishna in a very practical way, which our material senses cannot perceive spirit. So Krishna comes in a way by which we can perceive him. One of the main services one does to the deity is we offer nice boga or food preparations to the Lord. In addition to the garlands I mentioned, there's artik that is offered, dressing, bathing. These are all things very tangible that one can use one's own body in serving the Lord. So we all have to eat, and therefore by having the deity, we can then cook and offer the foodstuffs to the Lord, and then it becomes prashadam, sanctified. But without such, it becomes very difficult. The highly advanced devotees like Haridas Thakur, who are on the Mahabhagavat platform, they're thinking of Krishna 24/7. But when you wake up, worship the deity. Before you eat, you're worshiping the deity. Before you're doing all these essential things, before you go to bed, you put the Lord to bed. Before you're doing all these essential things in life, you make the deity a primary, Lord Krishna, the primary part of that in a primary way. Some people desire to have a house. By inviting the deity into your house, you're now making Krishna the center of your house, making it Krishna's house, turning your house into a temple. So this is Krishna's mercy upon us. I was looking at a lecture by Srila Prabhupada when he was talking about the difference between the deity and idol. I thought it was interesting. He was saying how the idols are like statues that famous people or famous things, animals or whatever that people want to show honor to, and they put them up in public parks or in front of city halls, etc., and people go and pay tribute to them, but they're not protected, they're not worshipped in the same way that I was explaining the level of worship. They're not protected inside a temple. And although people come to see them, you have places like crows that just sit on top of them and pass stool on top of them, and nobody really cares. They get their picture and they move on. Well, this should not be considered equivalent to worshiping the deity, which is done in a very regulated, very opulent way, and under the guidance of a pure devotee and the scriptures. So another point is that we have the opportunity, just like these ladies of Dwarka, who are observing this festival of the Lord coming. And the word festival is specifically given here, Mahotsavaha. This is a festival. And during a festival, what happens? People put on their finest outfits. People come and offer different, there's excitement. People give a little bit more of their time, give a little bit more of their service. They give a little bit more of whatever they would like to offer to the Lord. They mark it on their calendar, and they make an important part of their life. And we have an opportunity, as Srila Prabhupada writes here, just like they had an opportunity to see Lord during these festivals, like the Julan Yatra and Janmashtami ceremonies, and many, many other festivals as well, to come and take part in the worship of the Lord. It's a little bit different, growing up in the Christian background, we would celebrate Christmas, and that was the big holiday. But the focus was never really on Jesus. It was about you getting presents and the presents that you had to go buy someone else. And you spent a lot of money. A person would spend a lot of money. You got your sisters, you got your brothers, you got your cousins, your aunts and uncles, your mother, father, you got your friends. You have to spend all on gifts, and you expect gifts back in return. But no one would really think about what is the gift you give to Jesus. After all, it's his birthday. So when I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, that really was amazing to me, that Krishna is actually the center of these festivals and holidays. I thought it was really a really beautiful thing. And we have an opportunity to participate in this. The Julan Yatra is coming up in a couple of weeks, Janmashtami a few weeks after that. And then of course we have our Rath Yatra parades. We have one at the, we've observed a couple so far this summer, quite a few of them. This coming Sunday, we have Snana Yatra, in which Lord Jagannath will be bathed. And everybody who comes will have an opportunity to bathe Lord Jagannath and see him be worshipped. Every Sunday, we gather, for worship. But this is the mood which we should have. We should be very eager to see the Lord. And if we make Krishna a big part of our lives, if we make it a point to be part of these festivals, we'll feel the reciprocation from Krishna. Just as Krishna is reciprocated with the residents of Dwarka in different ways. We say that he reciprocated it in different ways. Some he shook hands with, some he just gave, a feeling of acknowledgement. Some his gentle smile. Others he embraced. So the reciprocation may be different. But when we come to see the Lord, depending on our level of our consciousness and our level of surrender, yayatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bijamyaham, Krishna will feel Krishna's presence and inspire us to go deeper and deeper in our seva to him. I wanted to quickly mention here that we see sometimes this being done very nicely when I imagine the ladies going up to the rooftop to see Krishna. In Baltimore Rath Yatra, there's this overpass in which Lord Jagannath comes underneath. And sometimes people go up to that overpass and looking down at the Lord. So they're not right there in the Rath Yatra. They're not there chanting, but they're actually above, kind of a little bit removed, like looking down from the balcony. And then they take flower petals and they throw it up in the air and shower down onto Lord Jagannath as he passes under. So these are about serving the Lord in this way. We're participating in greeting the Lord in a very, very wonderful way. Another point about greeting the Lord, when we have the opportunity, if we make it a part of make it a priority for us. When the Lord appears and makes himself available, we should be there to greet him. Sometimes there's meetings or other conversations going on, and we'll say, "Oh, we'll just go in and see Krishna when I'm finished." Sometimes there's a very important service that is being done for Krishna, and Krishna understands that. But sometimes there's just kind of idle conversation that's going on, and you'll think, "I'll just go into the temple and see Krishna when my conversation is over." And we should make Krishna the priority, especially when we are there at the temple. A reflection I had with regards to festivals and serving Krishna. During Janmashtami, and I tell this just for, just to, I guess, to make a point of how we should or shouldn't look at service to Krishna at particular when we get an opportunity to serve. So for the first several Janmastamis that I attended, actually quite a few, I had the service of serving in the parking lot. Because a lot of people come on that day. I mean, thousands of people come to the temple, as is stated here. Throngs of people show up in great numbers at the temple on these festival days, just to see and worship the Lord. Some are bringing, gifts of fruit. Some are bringing, donations for Krishna's, to help provide for Krishna's worship and spread the Krishna consciousness mission. Other offerings are being prepared. There's so many people come on that day, and you need to have some type of it becomes chaos if there's no parking attendants. So I would always be asked to stay in the parking lot. And for the first couple of years, I would just have this feeling of, oh my gosh, I sure wish I was inside the temple room and I could be, hearing and chanting, with the devotees, and I could hear the kirtan, and I was feeling a desire to do that. Almost a feeling, but it became a feeling like inside of, why do I have to be out here? It wasn't a good feeling, nothing that I was proud about, but that was the feeling I would get. And then I was thinking, oh, someday maybe I'll get an opportunity to go away, or I can just sit and hear and chant, and I wouldn't have to do this parking service ever, just have a Janmastami where I could just do that, no parking service. And as the years went on, something started to change. And I remember a lot of it came from observing His Grace Chaitanya Jivan and how he approached the parking service at our Rath Yatra festival. Also was very, very important. And then I began to think that all these people, that if I truly believed that this is Krishna's home, this is Krishna's palace, this is Krishna's temple, and the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is truly present here, and I have the opportunity, and today is his appearance day, his birthday celebration. And I've been given the opportunity to go and greet his guests that are coming from a long distance away and bringing him things and are being purified by the association and sight of the Lord. And I have that opportunity. I've been given this opportunity to do that. How grateful I should be. And then everything started to change. The consciousness started to flip. It wasn't about me and what I wanted. It was about, how can I make this pleasing to Krishna? And then it actually became fun. Became very joyful. So it's just a way, it's just a flipping consciousness. When we see Krishna as the center, and service should be performed for Krishna and for Krishna's pleasure. Even something that we're asked to do that may not always be, that you would think you would like to do, can actually become very joyful, knowing that it's connected directly to the Lord. We get to act in these festivals as associates of the Lord, being able to serve him, And we're reading about all the different people that would see him, that would come, and greet them. They weren't all pujaris, they're talking about the citizens, everyone, the helpers. Krishna didn't discriminate. You can't see me, and they reciprocated accordingly, as mentioned. These festivals, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Sharanagati prayers, he says, with great care I observe the holy days like Ekadasi and Janmastami, for they are the mother of devotion. Srila Rupa Goswami, he mentions the 5 primary practices, most potent practices of devotional service: sadhu sangha, association with advanced devotees; nam kirtan, the chanting of the Lord's holy names; bhagavat shravana, hearing the pastimes of the Lord; Mathura Vas, residing in a holy place, and worshiping the deities. So the Janmashtami and these festivals are the mother of devotion because they give birth to the opportunity to observe and practice these 5 potent forms of devotional service. When we go to the temple of the Lord, we are in a holy place. Also wanted to mention here that the lady, the point that was made at the bottom. Real quick, also, we go back, the ladies of Hastinapur, they also had a very similar experience to the ladies of Dwarka. And we go back a chapter, there was a verse, out of loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers down upon the Lord. This was as Krishna was leaving Hastinapur. And we see that the ladies of Hastinapur, as well as the ladies of Dwarka, they took an opportunity to go up, to the rooftops to say goodbye and then to greet Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, he mentions in the purport how the ladies, they did not mix with the crowds on the street, but they remained, maintained their respectability. It was perfectly observed and appreciated by Krishna. And going back to this purport also in the 10th chapter, Srila Prabhupada mentions how shyness of a woman, it commands great respect from the opposite sex. And that this is actually an ornament of a woman, is this shyness, and how even a sweeper woman would command respect from many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting shyness, and much more than, say, like a half-naked lady on the street. She wouldn't command very much respect at all. When I came to the temple, another thing that I found was very interesting was when I was there, and this was different than my experiences in a Christian church, was that the men would sit on one side and the women would sit on another side. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Why is that? Because in the Christian tradition, you would go and worship. You would go with your family. It was like a family affair. And still people come with their families, but then, in Krishna temples, they usually separate. Men go on one side, women on the other side. And when it was explained to me, it made a lot of sense that, there's often distractions that are there. And you want your focus to be solely on Krishna. So this, separation of men and women, specifically when it comes to worshiping, is there. We should understand it's there for the practice of just preventing any levels of great distraction that could take place. We should also not allow if men and women are mixing, for it to become a distraction for us in our devotional life. So the principle is, when people come to the temple, we want them to reawaken their love for Krishna. So if people come and they feel comfortable, men and women sitting together, sometimes we see that, especially at the Sunday feast or at festivals. We shouldn't get carried away, making sure that they're separate in one area and another area. Sometimes people, they get a little carried away, with driving this home. This will develop in time. And obviously the example is there. It's very obvious when you go into the temple, men on one side, women on the other side. Um, but we shouldn't get necessarily carried away and make that our mission to make sure that that this is observed. More so, our mission should be to educate people on the science of Krishna consciousness, and these etiquettes will naturally begin to follow afterwards. Okay, I will stop here, see if there's any questions, comments, takeaways, or reflections from this verse. Hare Krishna. Kalpesh, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for, as usual, very wonderful class. I have a couple of questions. One is Archa Vigraha, right? Which is the deity we try to install here in the temples. And there are a couple of elements mentioned here, earth, wood, and stone. What are the other elements which can be used? That is my question from the Veda standpoint. Secondly, is there any instruction to build certain temples in certain way from the instruction of the Vedas? And third is I see many in this society, the current society, there are many temples which has the gold made up of golden deity, the statue of it. So gold is just one of the mining material, and the process of obtaining the mining is very cruel. It has a lot of killing. I mean, people get killed in that process, and also people get injured. So there are many like temples which kind of promotes that to be donated with golden is something really auspicious. So I mean, I wanted to know what Veda says for those kind of things, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I know a few of them, what deities can be made of. I don't know all 8 of them. I don't know if there's anyone here. I know that stone, wood, jewels, painting, metal. That is 4. Does anyone else? I don't know. Vishnu Gada Prabhu, Kaivalya Prabhu, Madhakaloknanda Priya. If you know the others, in which the anyone else?
One is the mind.
Worshipping the Lord's form within the mind. So that's 5.
That's 6.
The 6. Stone, wood, jewels, paintings, metal, the mind.
They say Panchalohas.
Hmm.
No, all 5 brass and gold and other things, they mix it. That is also they say.
That's something we can look up to get the others, to get all 8. But with regards to establishing temples, it should be done under the authority of advanced devotees, because when one starts a temple, there's a great responsibility to do it. So under the direction of a spiritual master or senior Brahmins, because it shouldn't be done whimsically. You have to have, when you invite the Lord to come, you have to be prepared to worship him. Otherwise, you run the risk of seeing the temple as a burden, and that Krishna is a burden. Now I have to take care. Now I have to do all these things just to maintain. So it should be done very carefully. The purpose of the temples is to bring people there to see Krishna and for people to engage in devotional service and reawaken their love for God. So temples should be placed in a location where people would have access to doing that. Or to demonstrate other principles, like we have farm communities where there's temples that demonstrate the principles and intentions to demonstrate the principles of simple living and high thinking. One of the purposes, one of the 7 purposes that Srila Prabhupada listed in establishing the International Society for Krishna Consciousness was to erect for the members of and for the society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna. So these are, like the temples. So they should be active places that are dedicated to the pastimes of Krishna, where one would go and hear about and learn about the pastimes of Krishna, chant Krishna's names, and have the opportunity to engage in devotional service to the Lord. With regards to the materials that are used, you mentioned gold, and the idea is that we offer what is best. I'm not, of course, there's different practices that are used at different times in history for mining and excavation, processing, different materials. But the idea is that we should offer the best of what we have or what we can have to the Lord. If we're going to buy something for ourselves, we should also think we should first want to serve the Lord. So what would it say if we would eat on something very fancy, but we would give Krishna a paper plate? It would mean that we're not we're not recognizing Krishna's supreme position. For me, I want to have something very nice. I'll have a big house for myself. I'm going to allow Krishna to, have a very small plate. I'm going to eat opulent food, but I'm going to give Krishna, I'm going to give the Lord, just some oats. Now, does Krishna require that? Absolutely not. Krishna says, if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Because it's really the devotion, it's the consciousness which Krishna is accepting. But if our consciousness is me first, or let me take the majority of what I have and spend it on me and my opulence and neglect Krishna, that is not a healthy Krishna consciousness. So that's the idea, that if I go shopping and I'm going to buy something, let me buy something nice for Krishna. I may take something that's secondary, but for Krishna, let me get something nice. And can you see, by doing that, you're actually developing Krishna as your primary focal point in your consciousness. That was something also I remember I was astonished by, reflecting back to some early experiences in Krishna conscious life, was when I heard devotees would go out, especially pujaris, they would go out shopping for Krishna, as if they were shopping for themselves. My experience is you would go and you shop for yourself. They would actually go out and find different types of materials and jewelry, etc. And they would spend their day going shopping, but they would go shopping for Krishna. So yeah, this should be practiced. With regards to pure gold and things like that, these typically aren't offered to the deities here. My understanding was Srila Prabhupada wasn't so in favor of that, just because, also it's, there's the idea of theft and vandalism, that people would come and could damage the deity. But even within the temples, the deities are very, very well, they're protected. We have a gate, I don't know if you've seen it at the temple, that's supposed to be up anytime there's not a pujari or devotees, present in the temple room, for the protection of the deities. So that is there. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for your answers.
Shamaguri Mataji, she wrote, 8 varieties are stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, or jewels. Stone, water, metal, earth. So earth and sand were the 2 that we forgot. Vishnu, you mentioned the mind. So they would be the 8. It's there in the chat's just a direct. So you got that, Kalpesh? The 8: stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, and jewels.
Stone, wood, earth, and sand. Which one? And mind is the 5th one, right? Sorry.
And stone,
Mm-hmm.
wood is 2, metal 3,
Mm-hmm.
earth 4, paint 5, sand 6, mind 7, and jewels 8.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mother Shamaguri, for getting that. And the reference to that is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 27th chapter, text number 12. Okay. If there are no more comments,
yeah, I like to read the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Say one cannot just engage in hearing and chanting, in a unified stage. One should worship the deities. Sometimes we heard devotees, they undermine, the people doing pujari. In my years of in ISKCON, I heard comment from, maybe inexperienced devotees. They said, oh, pujari is just ringing the bell all day, that's not, such comment is kind of like, I feel that is very like offensive without proper understanding.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it all comes back to the lack of consciousness that is actually Krishna present there. Pujaris are actually are very wonderful. And you look at the activities that they do, especially at a temple. There's home pujari service, which should be done very nicely and consistently. But oftentimes, there's, if a person gets sick or maybe they go traveling, they go out late for a home program or, some festival. The home worship isn't always, continued on a regular basis, but, every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in the temple, as well as, even congregation members participate. In the Lokananda Priya, you're one of them, who serves the deities in the morning, at the temple. Many others, congregation members come and serve the deities throughout the week. As I mentioned, the garlands, garland makers. It's every day. It's every single day. They begin at around 4:30 a.m. Mangalartik is at 5 a.m. And then throughout the day, it's the whole day is planned around the schedule for the Lord. And if a person can absorb themselves in that lifestyle, in that service, they'll certainly become Krishna conscious.
I'm thinking, in our line in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, all, like Srila Prabhupada, he worshipped, Radha Govinda when he was very, from early age. And Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and all the 6 Goswamis, they all had personal deities that they were worshipping in Vrindavan, you know. So we all like following the footsteps of our previous acharyas, you know. And Srila Prabhupada established it for a purpose so that we can engage our senses, you know. And in the service of the Lord, and can ultimately come to the point of fixing our mind on, you know, on Krishna, because we cannot see Krishna everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, you know, in establishing a temple, going back to Kalpesh's question, there has to be, you know, real serious commitment to establishing a temple, because you need the adequate support to be able to carry out the activities of serving the Lord. Otherwise, this mentality can develop, you know, what are we doing? You know, and as Srila Prabhupada also mentioned, it's the consciousness is a neophyte consciousness. So I do know that there's certain preaching, devotees that do different levels of preaching, and I guess there's some merit to their what they're doing, but they're somewhat opposed to this idea of introducing specifically Americans to deity worship, because it is a foreign idea for them. So most of the time, it's initially when as you develop an attraction to Krishna consciousness, then deity worship is introduced. But sometimes it's taken a little bit too far to the other direction, where the deity is actually deity worship, and that aspect of devotional service is actually kind of rejected and put down a little bit as something that's secondary. And all these activities are, again, to bring about our attraction and devotion to the Lord. And if this was not necessary for us to advance in Krishna consciousness, we should know Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have recommended it for us. Thank you, Mother Golokananda Priya. All right, so tonight we have at 6:40, we have the shloka recitation, and then that will be followed by a book study on Srila Prabhupada's Leela. So we hope everybody can join us at 6:40, and then again at 7, and then followed by 7 o'clock, Srila Prabhupada Leela. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakopatirubhyascha kripasindhuvescha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.